Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Uh-oh, getting some error messages. All right, happy Friday. Hope you can see me, hear me clearly. Today is the 28th day of January. This is the 20th episode of season 3 of the Be Your Own Hero show. Wow, it's a milestone day. 20th episode. So I might have to give myself some fireworks in a second. But anyway, 20th episode of season 3 of the Be Your Own Hero show. And yeah, I think I will do the fireworks. Let me find the fireworks right quick. Yeah, so milestone day. This is, as I said, the Be Your Own Hero show. Hero is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, helping others helps you. It's a reciprocal action. I'm your host. I'm sekouwrites. I'm a professional creative and the creator of what we're now calling the Hero Ministry Movement. Just a reminder, that is now an Instagram account, a freestanding Instagram account at Hero Ministry Movement. So go follow that. Anyway, the Hero Ministry Movement is my effort to uplift and inspire people. It started with the unhoused community and has expanded beyond that. And I'm doing the work to be my own hero and be an inspiration to others. So, quick disclaimer, I am not a personal trainer, nor am I a financial advisor. So do your own due diligence, do your own research. And in the meantime, let's shout out New Thought Media Network for giving this platform, giving me this space to explore, and to be on my journey of becoming my own hero. This is their website, ntmedia.org. You can see the other programming on the channel. You can also make a donation. It is a 501c3 nonprofit, so feel free to make a donation there. Okay, so if this show provides any value, please like, please comment, please share, spread the word. You can also make a donation. There, my Cash App information is in the show notes just below the show. And check me out here Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, so that's it. This is season 3. As I said, the theme for the season is doing. The idea is talking about action steps for myself and hopefully for you too, things that will spur you to action in general, but specifically under the House of Finance. All right, so Hero Ministry Movement news. Shout out to the people joining in on the chat. Shout out to Gladys. You're sending your stats. That's great. And Gladys is about to post something on social media. I'm putting you on the spot, Gladys. You're about to post something on social media about exercise and jewelry. We're watching you. Good morning, man. Okay, Gladys is going to do it after the show. All right, cool. So thanks for checking in, folks. Thanks for watching live. Thanks for commenting. I appreciate it. Okay, so today is day 242 of my run streak. For those of you just joining us, I've been running a mile a day, well, at least a mile a day since the first day of June back in 2021. Today is day 242. I'm also training for a half marathon, and I'm also doing a charity run. So let's do that in order. Training for a half marathon. So it's a self-study course. They tell you what to do, but they are assuming that you are disciplined enough to follow the instructions on your own. So word to the wise, you have to develop the discipline on your own. And if that's difficult for you, it would be wise to work with a run buddy. That's my wisdom. That's my tip. Okay, anyway, today's day on the sheet is a rest day. But as you know, I don't do rest days because I'm on a run streak. So what I did was a mile, well, a little over a mile. So I have a route that I run that's about 1.5 miles. And that was my intention to run that route. But I ran really early this morning. I ran in the 4 o'clock hour because I was done by 5. So I ran in the 4 o'clock hour. So it was dark outside. And I've never run that early on this route. And so the street light, there were some streets that didn't have street lights. So I was like, all right, well, let me stay on the main path, the well-lit roads. And so I hadn't quite figured out the distance for that route. Anyway, I'm making a long story long. The point is I did 1.3 miles instead of 1.5. But my intention was to do a mile and to do a faster mile than usual. And so the thing that I say to people is that running is much like life. Running is much like life in that if there's something you're trying to accomplish, if you start out fast, you end up staying fast. Like even when you inevitably slow down later, your slowdown from a fast pace is much less than your slowdown would be from a slow pace. I learned this on a race a while ago, so I won't get into all that sidebar, but it's totally true. And those of you, all right, I guess I'm sidebarring a little bit, because those of you who are on the 30-day challenge have probably experienced this. It's really easy in the beginning to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, right? But then you slow down. And so for the 30-day challenge specifically, I've asked people to set the bar really low, because inevitably you're going to end up in a negotiation with your own mind. It's inevitable. At some point, your mind is going to try to pull you back to comfort, and you've got to be able to say something like, well, we're only going to do one push-up. Like, you got to negotiate with yourself. And if it's a very small thing that you're doing, then you'll be able to get over that hump. All right, so now I'm saying a bunch of different things at once, but I think that was important for the people in the 30-day challenge to hear. Keep at it. Keep at it. If you fall off, get back on the horse. Be gentle with yourself, but urge yourself further. Like, set a new goal. Like, if you did 7 days and you fell off, set a new goal of 8. Like, keep pushing back against yourself. Don't give in to the part of your mind that's trying to keep you comfortable. Don't give in. Don't give in. Okay, so anyway, check out my run report. It's up on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Check it out. It's super dark. I had to turn on the light in the car just so you can see me, but check it out. It's pretty interesting. And that was the marathon training, half marathon training. So circling back to the charity run. So charity run, just a reminder, I am dedicating the next 100 miles of my run streak to raising money for Mr. Charles, who I talked about finding in the snow a couple weeks ago. You can read the whole story on the GoFundMe page. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you've already heard that story. It was pretty impactful for me, and I just want to give back. And I saw, as I was logging on now, I got a notification for a new donation. So very excited. Don't know who it is yet, but shout out to whoever you are that gave me a donation. Please spread the word. Spread the word. Spread the word. Let's see if there's other people in our expanded circle that might be interested in contributing to this cause. Okay, so other news. Oh, I want to talk about envelope challenge a little bit, but no, I don't think it's really anything impactful. The number for today is $3. So if you're on the envelope challenge, but you haven't checked social media yet, the number is $3. We're transferring $3 from our checking into our savings or whatever bucket you have designated. And that's going to come back later in the show today. So remember that. Okay, so morning Zen. So as you know, if you've been watching the show, I've been taking the 30-day mental diet class with Rev. Melissa. The class is different every time, even though the book is the same, however that works. It's different because the people are different. It's different because you notice things in the book you didn't notice the first time. And that's what I've noticed, generally speaking, with all of these nonfiction books that I read, that I've been reading recently, I should say. That when I circle back to reread something, I always notice something else that I didn't notice the first time. Something else stands out. So if you've got 30-day mental diet and you've already read it, you can stand to reread it. I promise you something else will jump out at you that will be timely about what you're experiencing right now. All that said, I read today's 30-day mental diet, and it didn't really resonate. It always resonates, but it wasn't enough. I think I mentioned this yesterday. And since Rev. Melissa said that sometimes we stay stuck on days, because I never thought about that before, but sometimes we can stay stuck on a day because it's written in the way that each new chapter is a day, the pressure in my mind is push forward, push forward, push forward. And so ever since she said that a couple of days ago, and for those of you that missed it, she said that sometimes we might need to stay on a day if it's really impactful for us. So I've been a little looser since then. So today I read, I think it's day 22, I'll check in a second, but it didn't really resonate with me. And so I went and I did some other reading that I'll mention in a second. So first, let me read what today's lesson is, because there might be something in there for you. All right, so it's day 22, actually. And the theme is why you should be healthy. Why you should be healthy. It is the body that heals itself. Assistance may be provided, obstacles removed, and certain mechanical things done, but in the last analysis, the doctor sits back and waits for the normal activity of the body to take over and reestablish healthy functioning. So I like that. I like that idea. And I'm sure we all have our own examples where the doctor says do this or that, but it's like kind of guiding you in a certain direction. But the body is really responsible for doing what it does, for healing the scar, for doing all the things. Right. So there's that. And then I wanted a little more than that. So what I did is when I went running this morning, I was listening to my own podcast. I actually do that. I should, just a quick sidebar, I discovered relatively recently that my phone, I have an Android Pixel, my phone can set as its alarm a podcast. Who knew? So I've had an alarm sound for all the years that I've been using an alarm, but I was listening to a podcast, I think it was by Jay Shetty, and he was saying even the word alarm is not something you want to be associated with early in the morning. You don't want to give yourself an alarm, a startle. You don't want to use a sound that is startling and alarming. So I thought that's wise. And so I discovered in the process of experimenting with my phone that I can set my alarm, quote unquote, as my own podcast. So every morning when my alarm goes off, the way it goes off is it just starts playing my podcast. That's it. It's pretty cool. So I wake up to me talking to me about abundance, which is very cool. So I do that every day. Today, I also took it out on the run with me. Like I started the chapter over and I took it out on my run with me. The chapter was chapter 7, gratitude. And this is chapter 7 of the science of getting rich. And essentially, we've talked a lot about gratitude here, but the idea is be grateful for everything, all the small things you take for granted, but also all the negative things, quote unquote, that come into your life, because those things are coming into your life for you. They're not happening to you, they're happening for you. And you've got to look for the deeper meaning. They might be to make you stronger. They might be giving you what you need to answer that bigger prayer you asked for. It might be any number of different things, but if you don't recognize it's for you, and if you don't lean into the idea that these things are for you, then you miss the memo. You don't get the lesson, you don't get the learning, you don't get the growth. So that was a good reminder for me. And also, if you haven't listened to the podcast yet, after I read the chapter, I also do a little commentary, a little talk back. And it's interesting to me that it's like a photo. A photo is a snapshot of time, right? And the podcast is the same for me. So I'm listening to a message that I recorded early pandemic. And it's interesting to see where I was then versus where I am now. And in some cases, there are things that I say back then that I know I need to get back to. So yeah, it was a good experience for me listening to myself while I went running today. So anyway, all that to say, lean into gratitude and check out the podcast. I always get more things out of it, so I'm sure you will too. Okay, so all that said, it's about 10 o'clock. So just a reminder that this show is now a full half hour. We started at 9:45 and we run till 10:15 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, so let's get into some abundance. Here's our quote. I am so happy and grateful to be a multimillionaire in every area of my life. I am so happy and grateful to be a multimillionaire in every area of my life. And just my usual reminder, poor people spend, middle class saves, but the wealthy invests. So if you're spending and you're saving, make sure that you are also investing. It's not optional. All right, so let me check the comments real quick. Looks like Nan just got back from her run walk. We've got so many names for it. Nan calls it a walk, if I pronounce that right, a walk. And Reverend Melissa calls it a walk jog. Anyway, I like all the different names. And yeah, Gladys, it was a really impactful idea for me because we don't think about the word alarm, But as soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, why would you want to alarm yourself early in the morning? So check out your phone, see what the options are. Again, you can set it to play. Well, at least my phone, you can set it to play something in the morning. And the benefit of that, added benefit before I move on, is that it's like a direct line to your subconscious. Like in those early waking moments when you're not fully awake, like you're planting seeds directly into your subconscious. So in my case, I'm planting seeds about abundance and gratitude in those early hours. So be careful about what you set it to, because I've talked to several people who use the news as their alarm. Like the radio news comes on, and those folks are often disturbed about what they're listening to early in the morning. Like, don't do that to yourself. Don't listen to the news early in the morning. Don't let that be what creeps into your subconscious. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to abundance. Let's see. So there were a couple comments in the chat yesterday I wanted to circle back to. So Tim was saying that it was a good reminder to get back on the horse for the 30-day challenge people. And so I talked about that a little bit today. Be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up about falling off, but also challenge yourself a little further. Like almost like punishment. Not quite like punishment because we're being gentle with ourselves, but give yourself a stretch goal after you fall off. Because what's happening is you're in a conversation with your mind about the new you, and you've got to outlast the old you to become the new you. It's going to take some practice. It's going to take some rocking back and forth, kind of like tipping the Coke machine over. You got to rock it back and forth before it finally falls. Trust me, I know from experience. So I wanted to comment on that. Also, a couple folks made comments about trading. Yesterday, I was asking you, the viewing audience, why you think only 5% of traders are successful as traders, and the other 95% are not successful traders. And two of the things you wrote in the chat were that emotions get in the way and that traders trade blindly. And yeah, both of those are true. Emotions do get in the way, significantly so. And sometimes people trade blindly, also because emotions get in the way. Like, oh, this looks good. Oh, I like that stock. And so I'm fascinated by the fact that there's this career that we've heard fairly little about. I mean, I haven't heard that much about stock trading out there in the world. Like I've seen it, obviously, but there hasn't been, in my experience, a lot of information given about that particular career path. So it's fascinating to me that now that I'm searching for it, that everything that I'm finding about it is about mindset. I was listening to some podcasts yesterday about different traders, and they were talking about biofeedback machines, meditation, like hikes, kayaking, all the things that they do to get themselves grounded. They were talking about never trading when they're triggered by anything emotionally. I mean, let's just pause right there. How often have we done something that we shouldn't have done when we were triggered by something emotionally, and that emotion carried over to what we were doing? Come on now. I know I'm not the only one. And you know it bleeds over. Even if the thing you're doing has nothing to do with your emotion, it bleeds over. So the idea that there's this career where in order to be successful, you have to wean yourself off of your own mental mistakes is fascinating. So I say mental mistakes as a shorthand of cognitive bias. We talked about that yesterday. Cognitive bias is the habit of making mental errors, like thinking about something wrongly over and over again because you haven't corrected it. That's fascinating to me that this career is built around, well, success in this career is built around overcoming your own cognitive bias. And yesterday we talked about outcome bias, one of the many cognitive biases that come up in trading. And outcome bias, just a reminder, is judging the outcome of what happened and not considering the state that you made the decision in. So that sounded confusing. So let me clarify. If you make a choice to eat ice cream, let's just say, eat ice cream, and then later you don't feel well, right? So outcome bias is you focusing on the fact that you don't feel well and thinking, oh, I never should have done this, but not thinking about the state of mind you were in when you made the decision. Like maybe you were having a bad day. Maybe it was comfort food. Like this is a very bad example, but you get my point. The point is that you've got to consider the state of mind that you were in when you made the decision, regardless of what the outcome was. The outcome is not what you wanted. Yeah, that's too bad. But you made your choice to do the thing. In this case, make the trade with your eyes open. So I guess I should just use trading as an example. So the trade doesn't go your way, you lose money, and you start to doubt. Just doubt, period. So the way you get over that in trading is to remember that you did your research, you dotted your I's, you crossed your T's, and you focused, and you did all the things you needed to do to make the right decision to get into this trade. So if it didn't work out, you just ignore the fact that it didn't work out and give yourself praise for making a good choice at the time, even though it didn't work out. That's powerful stuff. So again, I am just really fascinated by the idea that in order to be successful in this particular career, and I'm sure others too, you must conquer your mind. And conquering your mind is the whole game. That's the whole game in life. Okay, so I went off on a tangent, so I'm bringing myself back now. Acorns. This is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Acorns. So as you may remember, I was on a podcast recently with Regina Smithwick, Let's Talk 1943, and we talked specifically about my podcast, Get Rich 101. I'm trying to find the flyer as I talk, but maybe it's not up anymore. All right. So we spoke specifically about this podcast, Get Rich 101, right? And in the process of talking about Get Rich 101, Acorns came up. Acorns is an app that I have on my phone. Many other people do. And it works in a number of different ways. But essentially, the way that it's talked about the most is a method called roundups. So you sign up for roundups, and it will round up to the next nearest dollar every time you use your credit card, your debit card, and add that amount to your fund. So if you buy something out there in the world for $1.99, it'll round up and take 1 penny and put that into your fund. So it's adding to your fund passively, which is a very cool idea, right? Now, when it came up on the show, Regina and I were both talking about the fact that we both use Acorns. And in real time during the show, I was like, uh-oh, have I looked into Acorns since coming into this new awareness about money and abundance? And I was like, no, I haven't. And as you know, if you've been watching the show, I've been saying that the things that we are most familiar with are the things that we need to question, because a lot of the information we get about money and finance is literally incorrect. So it took me a while. As a matter of fact, it took a text I got from a friend yesterday. She was texting me about Acorns, and I was like, okay, there's my nudge. Let me go look at Acorns. So I did that last night and this morning. And here's the catch. The catch is really simple. With a lot of mutual funds, there are two issues. Number one, you can't really decide where the money goes. You can decide between aggressive, moderate, and low risk, but you let them do whatever those designations mean. But you can't say, hey, I want you to put the money in the S&P 500. Hey, I want you to buy growth stocks. Like, you don't have the power to spend your money the way you want. And it's set up that way for, there's my alarm, set up that way for folks that don't know that much about money. And I was one of those people. I used Acorns. It was the only thing that I was using at the time. And I think I put my setting on aggressive. And that's it. You put it on aggressive and you forget about it. You just keep spending money out in the world, and it keeps dribbling and drabbling. It keeps sending money over. I was trying to say drips and drabs. Anyway, it keeps sending money over, right? So I looked at it, and that's the first issue. Once you understand where you should put your money, where it will serve you better, you don't have that option within Acorn. So I'm coming in now with this new awareness, with this new knowledge, and I can't apply it within Acorns because it's set with parameters. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is it has a monthly fee. The monthly fee is $3. I don't know how I missed that before, but it is slowly eating away at the money that you're accumulating. And in some cases, you might end up spending more money with them than you earn for yourself. So you need to be mindful of that. All that said, this is what I've decided. I'm not going to eliminate Acorns because, again, I like the idea that it's accumulating money passively. I don't have to think about it. But what I'm going to do, however, is set a number. Like when the account reaches, let's just say $500. When the account reaches $500, I'm going to take the money out and then go buy an index fund in the stock market over there on TD Ameritrade or one of my other brokerage accounts. It will be a tool to accumulate in the bucket faster. It's basically another envelope challenge. It's like an invisible envelope challenge. It's going to accumulate money. I'll take that money, then go buy a share of stock. Right? So I think that's the way I want to use it. By the way, I see that my roundups haven't been working for a while, so I have to figure out why that's the case. But anyway, if you're interested, check out Acorns. Again, it's a passive way to build up that bucket. And my suggestion is once the bucket is built to a certain amount, move the money over to a place where it serves you better. Move. So accumulate and move, accumulate and move. And that's just maybe an easier way to accumulate that bucket. If the envelope challenge is hard for you, if you're having trouble setting aside money, you can do it this way and it's automatic. Just remember that the money sitting in that account isn't really serving you well. It's not accumulating fast enough and you've got that fee that you've got to pay monthly. It's not really going to serve you well there. So you don't want to leave your money there. You want to take it from there and move it elsewhere. There we go. So looks like I got a little bit of time left. So I just wanted to mention, what was it? Money market accounts. That came up in my life recently. And I was like, yeah, that's another thing that I just took for granted and never thought about. So let me look at it. So money market accounts, as far as I can tell, are very similar to savings accounts. I mean, so there is not much advantage to moving money from a savings account to a money market account. There is a slight increase in interest, but it's very slight. So I think on average, you get about 0.06% in a savings account on average. And on average, you get about 0.07% in a money market account. And obviously it varies. And sometimes they do these introductory things where like, 1 or 2 or 3% for 3 months. And then it drops down to 0.07 or 0.25 or something really low. So be very careful when you're checking out money market accounts. Again, this is not a place for you to leave money long-term. It's great to use it as a bucket if you want to separate it, but then learn enough about the stock market to know where you want to invest it, where you want to put it. And again, just to reiterate, I am suggesting index funds. And the one that we have hopefully all heard of is the S&P 500. That's literally 500 companies, each with a market cap of 40 billion. Yes, I said $billion. So the likelihood of something going sideways with that particular ETF is slim. I'm sorry, that particular index fund. I mean, it is an ETF, but it's easier if I just stay consistent with the language. So with that particular index fund. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Acorns to gather up some money and shift it right on over there to the S&P 500. I don't know what you want to do, but that's my suggestion. Okay, stay tuned for prayer time coming up now. And right after that is Sit with Rev Melissa, where I'll be producing and maybe I'll pop in to say a couple words. I see there's a couple comments, so I'll check those out after the show. Keep doing. Be a hero. Be your own financial hero. How about that? And remember that now is better than perfect. I'll see you Monday.